In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Good morning, everyone. You can tell we're getting into the Christmas season here at church. We got the poinsettias out. The red covers are on the altar. Now we're wearing red. You can feel the Christmas season now. And this is the time of year where usually we ask each other, what do you want for Christmas? Right? And all of us have probably thought about this question at least a little bit. Even the adults, not just the young people are making their lists, but in our minds, wives are thinking, you better realize that I really want this, and husbands are hoping maybe for their spouses to get them a certain gift. Maybe you've made that little, mention of something you really are hoping to get or something you really want. We're thinking about what do we want for Christmas? Because, of course, this is the Christmas season, and we give and receive gifts, and we share in the joy of the Christmas season by asking each other, what do you want for Christmas? And I bring this up today not only because we're in the Christmas season and how we're decorating the church and our homes, but we're kind of getting into the Christmas season liturgically. We're getting into the Christmas season even from the readings we hear. And that's true of this morning's gospel lesson today, which is the 14th Sunday of Luke. We heard of the blind man. And you might say, how is this a Christmas-themed story, really a Christmas-themed note of history from Christ's ministry? But it absolutely is when we encounter the blind man this morning, when he encounters Christ. And it's all bound up in a question that Christ asks him. I don't know if you caught the question that Deacon Ted just read, but Christ asked the blind man a question this morning. He said, what would you like me to do for you? It's similar to the question of what would you like for Christmas in terms of what do you want in this time when Christ is with us? When Emmanuel comes on Christmas, God with us, what do you want? What do you want when Christ comes your way like he will on the 25th of this month when he will be with us on Christmas? And Christ asked this question to the blind man. Well, let's think about this for a second. Not only is Jesus Christ, the all-knowing God. Let's set that aside for a second. But let's just think about the scene for a moment. There's a blind man begging. It said that in the gospel lesson. So he probably has some container in his hand. He's begging for money. And he hears that Jesus Christ is coming his way. And he says, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. And as the crowd quiets him down, he speaks even louder until he gets face to face with Christ as a blind man and says, probably like this, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me, with his eyes closed, or at least not looking at him. And Christ asks him, what would you like me to do for you? Isn't it obvious? Isn't it obvious that he just wants to receive his sight? But Christ still asks him, what would you like me to do for you? What would you like for Christmas? And the question becomes for us, why? Why does Christ ask him this important question? And he does so to teach something to those around the blind man and really to teach us something this morning. Because the blind man knew something important. He knew that Christ, the Anointed One, was the Messiah. He knew that Jesus, the Son of David, which he must have known by reading the Psalms. He knew that out of the root of Jesse would come, by reading the prophecy of Isaiah, the one that the virgin would bear. He knew that. And notice how he asks something different of Christ than he's asking from every other person in that scene. From everyone else, he's asking for money, but when he hears that Jesus, the Son of David, is coming, he says, wait a minute, I know who that is. I've read about him. I've hoped for him. I've prayed for him. And now that I know that he is here now, I'm going to cry out with my loudest voice, Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Until I get to his feet and I ask him directly to let me receive my sight. That's what he wanted for Christmas. And so as we draw closer to the 25th of December, And as we share gifts, which we should, I'm not saying we shouldn't give and receive gifts. We have to ask ourselves, though, what do we really want for Christmas? And on a deeper level, not what do we just say that we want, oh yes, I want Christ in my life. But like the blind man, have we read, learned, and prayed and hoped for Christ to really come into our lives? Have we done the things that it takes to feel the fear and to be blind in what way we might be blind, but still had the courage to wait for Christ to come to us, for Emmanuel, God with us, to cross our path? And when he does, like the blind man, have we called out to him? We have to ask ourselves, what do our actions suggest in our spiritual life about what we want for Christmas? Because he's coming. Just like he came to that scene that we heard Deacon Ted read a little bit ago, he's coming. Emmanuel, God with us, will cross our path in this season. And everything that we're doing outwardly, all of the beauty and the lights and the gifts that we are sharing outwardly, God willing, we are also reflecting that same joy inwardly. We're looking into our hearts and asking ourselves in the depths of ourselves, what do I want and need this Christmas? And so as we move forward the next few weeks toward Christmas, I encourage you to look inward. Be like the blind man. Know the difference between the crowds and Christ. Be prepared to ask of Christ that which you know he can give you. And if you're not sure what he can give you, grow like the blind man did in your knowledge, prayer, and hope in God. Because that's what will inform what you ask from him this Christmas.